Namaskar and welcome to the third episode of What Authors Think. And today we are in conversation with the author and poetess Saloni Sareen. And as you can see, her name is even very rhythmic and poetic. So, Saloni, first of all, a big congratulations on being a published author finally.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shubham. And thank you so much for, taking out time and doing this session with me because I know you have a lot right now ahead, going through your expedition, long traveling. You'll be traveling a lot. So thank you so much for calling me, for inviting me on the show.
Thank you. That's completely, my pleasure. So, Saloni, before we start, I wanted to brief about yourself as as a human being. How was your upbringing? Where do you come from for the, audience to understand the author better?
So going with my name, as you have already introduced that my name is very, mimic and poetic. And yes, it is. My name is Saloni Sareen. By profession, I'm a marketing executive, but my designation is a marketing executive. But I'm, assisting my father in his corporate gifting business. So I have to deal a lot with, handling the customers and related to the payments and all. Not much with the marketing exactly. Okay, so my upbringing is like I'm born and brought up in Delhi, and I live with my parents. So I have a middle class background. Nothing much about my background. I'm just nothing much with the academic, background like yours, like a mechanical engineer or something. I'm just a graduate with a bachelor's degree in commerce. I was very much fascinated within a corporate background. Corporate, I really wanted to be in the corporate sector, but this is something, writing is something, it when it comes naturally to some people, and just like poetry comes naturally to some people. And so, you can, it is nothing that to be with, profession, whatever profession you are, you can always go ahead in a creative field. That's what I believe. And I am a very quiet and shy person, very introvert person. So this is what the first thing which got me into writing. And yeah, so that's it about me.
So, Saloni, have you been to like Delhi only since the time you are
Yeah,
born? Okay.
yeah. I've never been, somewhere go out for the work or something.
Okay.
Don't know about the future plans.
Okay.
I can't say right now if I'll be relocating or something like that. I don't know. I don't have any plans though right now.
Okay, so we are having a Delhi girl in the session, and definitely we are going to ask a few questions
Then
related
right.
to Delhi. So keep your fingers
Okay, sure.
crossed for that. Okay, so like you only mentioned, and
Well,
this
well,
is
my, well, let me tell you. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Well, let me tell you, my general knowledge is not really good. So whatever
no,
you ask me,
there is no general
just keep
knowledge.
that in
There is
mind.
some fun questions about the Delhi people because Delhi is like people are
Okay.
born with a Delhi attitude that we are Delhi people, we are Mumbai people. So we'll be asking some.
But I don't. Okay, I don't think there's some kind of attitude with where you have born or the place you belong to. I don't think so.
I will
It
come to
comes,
the questions, we'll
Okay,
come to the
sure,
question. We'll definitely talk about.
sure. We should say that for the
Okay,
later
yes.
part.
So, Saloni, as you have mentioned, and what I also believe for that, poetry is something that is you are born with. That is not a hobby or something. You are born with that. Okay. So,
Yeah.
like, when was the first time that you started writing poetry?
Okay, so as I've said, that poetry comes naturally to me, and I think, kind of 14 or 15, like in grade, ninth standard, when I first started writing poetry. So as I said, I was really a very shy person back then also. So I never like to, I never like to interact with anyone. Just be in my own shell. So you must have experienced that yourself, that when it comes to express your feelings, or when it comes you sometimes want to communicate to yourself even. being to communicate with others. So you just want to communicate with yourself. So the first poetry, when I started writing was around 14 or 15. So it was like something, that struck me was that the poetic thing is like something, it it is there's something very beautiful about poetry that you don't have to think very much. It comes along with your feelings, and it's not necessary to be, it should rhyme, or it can be a non-rhyme poem. But the thing is, with poetry, I can express myself, in a very creative way, and I am a creative person. I think I'm born with that creative thing in me. Apart from poetry, as you know, I also uh, my interest is in art. So art really fascinates me. So the thing is, I really like to express myself through creative things, doing some artwork, doing some sketches, or writing poetry. So that is my thing.
Okay, it's a creative girl. Okay. So Saloni, now coming to your debut book, like for the audience, what is the title of the book and brief about the book, what it is about?
Yeah, sure. So my debut book is titled "My Life on Canvas." That what I'm holding right now. If you
Lift it
can
a
see
little bit up.
this,
Yes.
okay,
Perfect. Yeah. Now it is fine. Yeah.
okay. So this is how the book looks,
Okay.
and you can see there's a lot of fusion of colors on the cover. That is, keeping the title and the theme in mind. The cover has been selected. There was various other options, but the publisher took this also, and I agree with this because as titled "My Life on Canvas," so this is nothing else but, based on my life and what I believe, uh, that poetry is like a paint spattered canvas. Okay, where the poet uses words instead of colors, and the canvas is the life itself. So that is why I titled it "My Life on Canvas." And like just the cover, the fusion of colors, I believe that life is full of colors. If you would agree that it is not just black and white, right? We sometimes face some grays in life that is our lowest phase of life, and there is sometimes that, the shade of red shade, that is the shade of love. You know we have always symbolized love with a shade of red. So there, like this, there are a lot of colors in our life, and just like that, I have tried to portray some various shades of my life through this book, through the art of poetry and haikus. So this book is a 35 poem poetry book, and it comprises 23 poems and 11 haikus. And there is one taka that is based on love taka, basically. Takas are based on love, so there is a love taka. And this book is, very much that are my uncensored thoughts and my very innermost, deepest feelings that I've encountered at the time of COVID. So we'll talk about that, you know, uh, later on. Then that that part we'll come to that part later on. That uh, how did I write this poetry book and whatever things that helped me writing a book and all that.
So, like Saloni, you have mentioned,
Actually,
like, I'm very new about this, so I'm asking you here only. I'm very new about poetry, and I'm sure definitely there would be audience who wanted to know, like, what is haikus and what is staka, like how different it is from poetry and what is the difference.
sure. So in this book, uh, I don't know if it is right to say or something like that. This is a like kind of poetic paradigm where, the poems, haikus, and taka have been amalgamated. Uh, but yeah, actually, see. I think everyone is familiar with the word poetry and what are poems. Okay, so there are various definitions of poetry, though I don't need to come up with any definition. So poetry has many forms in itself, like it is an another genre in itself. So poetry has various forms, like it can be in verse, it can be a rhythmic poetry, it can be a non-rhyming poetry, it can be a prose, it can be a ballad. Okay, so there are various forms, and people are very much familiar with poems, what poetry is. And coming to what is haiku or taka, the haikus are called Japanese poetry. They are three-line poetries, basically, and that has evolved from, that has come from, originated from Japanese. Okay, and in a haiku, there are basically three-line poetries where we have to follow. There's a traditional rule of count of syllables, like that goes from 5 7 5. The first line has 5 count of syllables, second has 7 count of syllables, and third is again 5. Or they can be a 3 5 3,
Okay.
3 syllables 5. So this is haiku. Okay, and haikus are generally, something, it can be it is non-rhyming. So it is different from poetry. And it's kind of something you can give readers an imagination in itself, something that evokes a kind of feeling that uh, encourages that people can imagine about that thing, and are basically based on, they are written on nature. They can be written on some other theme also, but haikus are generally written on nature. And I have so you know expressed the given insights about nature through the art of haiku in my book. Taka is something, it is, uh, okay, how different it is from haiku, I will tell. Like, the only difference is it is a 5 line poetry, okay, and the count of syllables in Taka is like 5 7 and 5 5. So the first line will have count of syllables, and second will have 7, and so on, like 5 7 and 5 5. It's a 5 line poetry. So, and takas are generally based on love takas. So there is a thin line difference between, there is haiku and taka, and with very much different from poetry, general poetry. But these are all a form of poetry. It comes in a genre of poetry only. So, and people generally in India, they don't really follow the traditional rule of haikus and taka, because they have been, though they have been originated from Japanese poetry, but people don't really, poets to nowadays, they don't really follow these traditional rules of haiku. The count of syllables, it's very tough to, uh, attempt. That is because, the poetry that comes from heart, it should come from heart, and it should not necessarily follow any rules.
Exactly.
So that is what I think.
That's really interesting to know a deep about what is poetry, haikus and taka. Thank you for explaining this. And for the audience, the book is called Life on Canvas. It has a very beautiful cover and a very beautiful title. Congratulations on that. And you can find the book on Amazon. You can simply go on Amazon and type the author name or the book name. You will get the book. You can order your book today only. Okay. So Saloni, how long did it take you to finish writing the book, and how was the process?
Okay, so first of all, I haven't, I've never thought of writing a book actually. And as I've said earlier, that it is the result of, I've wrote this book. So just a second.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. First, I wrote this book at the time of, the breakdown of COVID, when the first lockdown was there. So, just like many others, I was also a part of the, isolation, being isolated from the world, you know, uh, feeling alone, lonely at home. And though you had a lot of time, you still, feel uh, loss in yourself, and you feel like you felt like you were in shell, like many others might have felt like that way. So this book is a result of that only. And but I was already writing some poetries before that period. So I though I started writing at a very early age. I was writing poetry, but somewhere I have uh, lost a connect with my writing, because as I told that I was very fascinated to go into a corporate sector and with that thing. So somewhere that passion was lost somewhere. And the COVID time actually, and before that, I was in my lowest phase of my life. When you are dealing with something that you are even if you are very over emotional or you're overwhelmed, when it naturally comes to you, like expressing yourself through a creative thing, right? I was also, very much into art, and I do sketches and all and paintings. But the thing is, when you even lost interest in your no most passionate or lovable thing, that is when you feel that there is something, uh, there's something missing in yourself, and you need to express yourself. But being, a very shy personality and an introvert, and keeping myself within me, just being in my shell, and never trying to interact with anyone in the other world. And then the COVID also came, and uh, just the reality hit us very hard, that how the life is. And you always need someone or something, so that is when this book came up. This book was born in that period. And yeah, so I never really thought of, writing a book. It just goes on and on. So there was not a definite period of writing this book. It was written, some part was written before the COVID, some was written during the COVID, and a few were, added after that. So there was not a definite period of writing this book. So this just uh, has been happened to me
And was there
again
any
naturally.
particular challenges when you were writing the book?
No, not challenges in writing the book, I would say, but I would say rather the challenges in my life has inspired me to write all these poems
Okay.
and these haikus. When you're facing something very difficult, and you're facing something, rising above something, when you feel you are very low and you are unable to rise yourself in life. So, and the difficulties, they push you down, the life push you down, and you know give you a jolt. That time, I think your innermost strength is something which is very much, which is within you. Okay, so the poetry was within me, and these difficulties, these lowest phases of life, all this has gave birth to the book, I would say.
Beautifully said. Very beautiful. So, Saloni, I want you to read 4 to 5 lines from your book, anything which you like, or any random lines. I just want to
So,
you to read.
so do you want me to read? just 4 or 5 lines of any poem,
Whatever
or
you feel like,
it could
any
be
poem or, any particular lines if you love, you can come to that also.
uh, okay. Well, it is very much very difficult to choose
Then
uh,
you can go random
because
because I know if you have written it so, wholeheartedly,
okay,
then everything
yeah,
would be good
yeah,
only.
because though I can't say that particularly one poem is my favorite or
Yeah, I
something,
obviously understand as
but
a
yeah, so they all are close to my heart. Okay, so there was a time when, uh, during the time of COVID, I think many people can relate to this, though this is, this reflects my life, okay, and what I was feeling that time, or what I was thinking, my inner thoughts and my deepest emotions. But I think that people can generally relate to this when you feel like people always feel sometimes that they are caged into something, or there's a feeling like that you are being caged or something, like you are seeking freedom from not just from a particular thing, from everything in your life. So there is a poem which is a micro poem, and it's titled Bird. So it goes like, finally, the fledgling has learned to flatter her wings. In a perfect picturesque, she looked like an angel who just added another feather to her golden cup. So this is micro poetry from my book, My Life on Canvas.
wow, very beautiful.
And
Very, like small but very deep, you know.
yeah, so this is actually, there are poems, mostly there are verses also, but I feel if I don't know if there's that much time to read a whole poem, but there's one more, titled Symphony.
Yeah, please.
And the favorite, as you have said, the favorite lines of this poem of mine are, like a cliff in the west, but with no regrets. I have to climb, though I am unrest. Like a clown in town, I have been vexed. So clap your hands because I'm dressed to nine, but with barefoot prints.
Wow, really beautiful.
So this is just a part, a few lines of the poem, a verse titled Symphony. So this poem symbolizes, the gray part of our life, of my life, of my life on canvas. So yeah, I think this book, people can, it's a very light-hearted book, and people can generally relate to it. It it is not necessarily which is something, though it is very personal, a very personal collection. But I feel that people can really relate to this book and the poems and haikus. This book belongs to everyone, yeah, who has ever been in love, and who is in love with the nature, because the mostly the poems in this book are based on the themes of love and nature. There are also some which include the which are based on the philosophies of life in general. There's a poem Perspective, so that would they are very thoughtful poems. And along with the poem, because you haven't got your book
Yes,
yet,
it is
I
like,
would
it was
yeah,
destined to get late because it was
yeah,
committed to at the third, but it got, delayed.
yeah, we can't say with delivery anything can happen. But I would like to disclose one more fact about this book, that there are some sketches,
Wow.
if you can see, along with the poems that I've included in this book. So okay, and I don't know if you would believe me or not. So some sketches are made by me personally, and there are some sketches who have been made by you know a dear friend of mine who's an artist also, Dave Verma. Okay, he's a brilliant artist, I think. So he has also contributed some of his artworks in this book. And yes, I think people can really, uh, with some poetic lines, I think uh, if they want something, you know, to imagine, they can just look up to these sketches also.
Wow.
And they can, people can, there are some poems which people can generally, dedicate to their loved ones. Like there's a poem, Panacea, which is on mother's love, basically, and a poem called Anniversary, which symbolizes the love between spouses. So I think this is a very light-hearted book which people can relate to with themselves in their lives, and they can dedicate one or two poems to their loved ones.
Very beautifully described. So, this was about book to the audience. You can find the book on Amazon. The book is really beautiful, as you.
And
Yeah.
and the purchase link is also on my in my bio.
Mhm.
So you can also check my Insta profile and my Facebook profile
You can go to
if you want.
Instagram of Saloni Sareen and you can find the link as well. And
And
do go and buy the book. It is really beautiful if you are into poetry. And if you're into sketching also, so it will help you somewhere. Okay. So the session will auto close in 5 minutes. So let us come up with the other question also. So is there any particular author or work that inspired you to write, during this whole journey?
during the whole writing journey, I would say, yeah, there are many authors who have inspired. I mean, actually, you see, if you ask, there are many authors whose work we have always looked up to, but we can't just we it is not possible for us to mimic them. Okay, right. So there are many authors and poets like that. There's my favorites are Ruskin Bond, Robert Frost, and yeah, actually there are many, but yeah, there's Rabindranath Tagore. So I love reading, the classic poets and authors. So there are, in Indian authors or American poets. I just love reading classic authors. And if you see, uh, I would say that in my poetry book, you would find that there are some titles. I don't know that is this a coincidence or something. When you are inspired with someone, they're part of writing that stays in you
It happened.
always.
Yes.
Yeah, you must have experience with yourself when you were writing your debut book. I'm sure the all your favorite authors that you have read till now must be coming up to your mind.
Yes.
So you can to use them somewhere. So some of the titles, similarly, some of the titles in my book, I have taken up they are my favorite, poets from my favorite poets' work. Like there's a poem in my book, The Road Not Taken. So there's a very famous poetry poem of Robert Frost. Okay, so yeah, though I can never match him, uh, their level or their work. So it is just that they've always been my inspiration, and somewhere their part of work has stayed with me. So somewhere I've used those things, those titles, you know, in my poetry.
Wow. That was really beautifully said that whenever, we all as an author, when we start writing something, we somewhere, are made up of the ideas or the ideologies that we read from. So that by
Yeah,
default comes that with your favorite
yeah,
authors, the authors whose work, your multiple works you have read, it will be shown off in your work. So that somewhere makes sense. So
yeah,
Saloni, this was all about the book of Saloni, the life on canvas, right? It is available on Amazon. The book cover is very interesting. The poetry you have right now, Saloni has read for us, and it is as interesting, as emotional, and connecting to every person, I believe, because we all go through emotions, through love, through breakup, through stages in life. So it will connect everyone. You can find the book on Amazon. You can go to either directly to Amazon, search the title, or you can go to Instagram and go through the link through the Saloni's profile. So you can go and order it, right? So this was all about the book. Thank you so much, Saloni, for joining in. It was wonderful session. And it was wonderful to talk to someone who is very introvert, because when you are introvert, you are very good with your work of writing. I believe so, specifically when it is poetry. Perfect. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Saloni. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you so much, Shubham. Thank
Bye.
you.